Once more, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Hi, everyone, and welcome. So thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to join us. We are really, really excited to have you here today. So today's session is all about helping you take the next step with yours or your student's career journey. So whether that means exploring new possibilities, getting clarity on goals, or learning how to turn your or your students' interest into real-world opportunities. We're thrilled to be doing that alongside the amazing team here at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, a university known for shaping innovators and problem solvers. So before we get started, I'm going to really quickly introduce myself. My name is Denver Muirhead, and I'm the overall Director of Strategic Operations at InUni Global. I've spent over 15 years working in the international education space in operations, and these days I focus on building smarter systems and partnerships that support student success. I also get to represent InUni at global events where we work closely with our recruitment partners like yourselves and institutions like RPI to explore trends in student recruitment, global engagement, and beyond. We've absolutely got a fantastic session ahead, so we're going to dive in. It's my pleasure to introduce someone who brings real heart and expertise to the conversation. Erica Carey, who serves as the Associate Director of Career Development and Career Counselor for the School of Architecture at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Erica works closely with students to help them discover what drives them, what their personality and values are, along with their unique strengths, and also helps them build a personal brand that reflects who they are and where they want to go. She's deeply passionate about helping students grow with purpose, and we're so glad that she's with us today to share her insights. Erica, it's great to have you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Excellent. So I'm really, really excited. So before we get into the great details that you've all been expecting, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping as per usual. So for those of you who have been on previous webinars with me, you'll know before we always get rolling, I always stress and state this session is always interactive and we always want and need to hear from you. So if you do have any particular questions, if anything does pop up that you really want to find out a little bit more detail about, then please feel free to use the Q&A box at any particular time, and we'll do our very best to answer the questions either in the sessions or we will follow up after, depending on how long and the nature of the question as well. We will be having moderators that will either be answering the questions in the session. If not, there'll be a Q&A section after where I'll read out a few of the example questions just so we can get a few more answers as well based on your questions and feedback. So please be interactive. Anything that comes up, put it in the chat box below, and we are more than happy to address those pieces of information to help you become better acquainted. Okay, right, ready to go? So let's get started with a quick look of what we have planned today. So as you can probably see, we've got a packed session. It's filled with tips, tools, and resources to help you take control of your career journey. And here's a quick rundown of what we'll be covering. So we're going to be looking at a quick look at the key services of RPI in which they offer to students as they navigate their career planning, practical strategies for job and internship sources, tips for building your career roadmap so you can move forward, I should say, with purpose and confidence, and also an intro into RPI's diversity and inclusion resources, which help make sure every student feels seen, supported, and empowered. And of course, we'll wrap things up, as I mentioned before, with the Q&A, just to make sure all of your voices and questions are heard so that we're able to engage with you, our partners, as best as we can. So, as I said to you before, keep those questions coming. So, before we hand things over to Erica, I'm going to set the stage a little bit more with regard to RPI. So, as I've mentioned, RPI stands for Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. RPI, I'm going to use RPI for short just to keep things simple. RPI was founded way back in 1824, and it actually holds the distinction for being the oldest technological research university in the United States. But more than its history, it's also known worldwide for its cutting-edge work in science, technology, and innovation. RPI is all about developing leaders who tackle complex global challenges, and not just with technical skill, but also with creativity, collaboration, and a drive to make a difference. With that being said, I'm going to bring in Erica and hand the baton over to you to tell us a little bit more about what makes RPI such a powerful launch pad for students, for parents, and just anyone alike that's really interested in progressing and developing their career moving forward.
Great, thank you. No, it was a great introduction. Yeah, RPI, it's an exciting time. We just celebrated our 200th birthday, which is something a lot of universities can't say. And I think we've learned and grown a lot in those 200 years, and it's an exciting time. We have some new leadership in across the whole institution, and people who are energized and yeah, truly believe in the mission of the school, and that we do create change makers and people who care about creating the world they want to live in. There's a big banner over our bridge that says, like, why not change the world? And it's really at the foundation of everything that we do here. And I have the unique privilege of hearing good feedback about RPI from, not just people in the community or people on campus, but from our employers and our alumni who hire our students. And a resounding sentiment from these folks is that RPI students, when they hit the workplace, they are technologically and technically and content-wise prepared in a way that they don't see from other schools, and it makes it a popular place for a lot of companies to recruit our students. And that's not to say that there isn't an academic rigor. Obviously, I think you'll find that at any polytechnic or STEM school, but I do think that the coursework really prepares students well to thrive in their careers very early on. So we see early success in management skills trainings and things like that. So our role is to help students in identifying what those opportunities are and learning how to share their story, and doing what we can to ease as much as we can the process of finding those meaningful opportunities, if it's research or internships or co-ops or full-time roles or graduate school. Everyone's path is different. So but we feel proud to be able to share the good word of RPI very broadly, and have those fun conversations with employers. So yeah, so I can continue on. I don't think it allows me to move the slides. Oh, there we go. Yeah, talked about a few of these things here. Yeah, founded 200 years ago, so rooted in a lot of tradition. There's fun history, connections to RPI, to things like the Brooklyn Bridge and the Carousel, and just all these really interesting anecdotal stories of alumni and past people connected to the university who are doing really have done and are continuing to do some really meaningful things. Research is at the foundation of what we're doing. If you look at the news, this geographic area, the capital region of upstate New York, is trying to become a semiconductor hub. And so a lot of our research and innovation is around semiconductors, as we have major companies like Global Foundries here, and a lot of emerging markets for semiconductors. So, and there's a lot of funding coming in from the state level. So that's exciting because it brings about new internship opportunities, co-op opportunities, as well as research opportunities as well. We also, if you look up RPI, you'll see we have a quantum computer. It was recognized by the federal government, and it's displayed right on campus. So quantum computing is at the forefront. So RPI is staying on top of a lot of these popular trends and industries, and so we are aligning to what that means from an experiential learning standpoint and a connection standpoint as well. And again, just the academic strength of the university. We have programs that are continuously being reimagined. We just went through our middle states accreditation process, and everything is looking really strong and has a good foundation moving forward. We are adding new majors that align a little bit more in the business area. So if you look at information on our Lally School of Management, we are adapting some of those programs to be a little bit more in line with the technical needs of the finance industry and business industry. So we're always keeping our grasp on what the industry at large is showing, what technology is showing. And I think now in the world we live in is a really pivotal point to be doing that with the surgence of AI, quantum computing, renewable energy solutions, Alzheimer's research. There's everywhere you go, there's a need for RPI graduates and work in the STEM field. And so it's about building those connections and staying on top of research and helping you go into your next career journey, if that's a full-time role or graduate school, with not just the knowledge, but the confidence that, you have learned and soaked in everything that you can. So, and then again, a global perspective. We have a high number of international students, a lot of international faculty, study abroad, internships and co-ops internationally, and a lot of just focus on diverse experiences and how we can learn from them. And so, we have a strong focus on that both in the Career Center, building those cultural competencies and valuing that as a university level as well. Perfect. Yep. And we're located right in Troy, New York. So this area, it's called part of the capital region, as I mentioned. So Albany is the state capital. And in this region, there's a lot of major cities: Saratoga, Albany, Troy, downstate. So the nice thing about this area, too, is we are very close to Boston and New York City. So a lot of students, one can have that opportunity to take really fun trips if it's the Adirondacks or the city on the weekends, but also those are big hubs just for industries and employment opportunities as a whole. And we especially find that with our international students, a lot of them want to be in a city environment after they graduate, maybe because they come from a city environment, or they just feel like there's like a richness and culture there too. So it's nice to have those opportunities as well. And again, close to an airport. And, a lot of our students are international students. So we have, a bus line if you can have transportation, and we'll help you with those accommodations with making sure you get to campus comfortably from the airport. We have a great international student support services office. And so we work really closely with them. And yeah, so it's a great place to live. Troy is also a very big area for gaming. There's a big gaming sector, and the downtown area is very lively. We have the largest farmers market in the United States, fun fact, in Troy, which is right within walking distance of campus. There's coffee shops at every corner. There's always free things to do. It's right on the water. And there's a lot of really easy housing opportunities too. There is a live on requirement for 2 years. But after that, you can choose to live on campus or downtown or in a more suburban area of Troy. So there's a lot of options for you based upon what your kind of environment you find that you thrive in. And we're happy to help you with that. We have people who help with housing. Perfect. Yeah. So as mentioned, I am part of the Center for Career and Professional Development. So we are the main hub on campus that helps students find and explore experiential learning opportunities. And our goal is to really work with you throughout the entirety of your process, from not just even day one of being here, but from the moment students are even interested in coming here. We know that there's thought processes tied to your career development. What do I want to study? Is the coursework aligned with what I want to do after I graduate? You almost have to start with the end in mind and think about, okay, my goal is to have this type of job or to be in this type of industry, and how can RPI help me get there, and explore those types of opportunities. So having that pathway. So we're happy to talk to students. We talk to students in middle school plenty of years before they decide to come to college, because it's a big investment, especially for international students, right? There's it's costly in time and resources, and you have to make the right decision for you. And for us, it's not just that we want to make sure RPI is the right choice for you, but just we want to make sure wherever you decide to go is the right choice for you. So we're happy to help students, even if they decide not to come here. That's okay. We just want them to be successful wherever they go. So if you are a student, or if you're working with a student who is considering this, um, our office is also a good place to start, in addition to admissions, and helping you navigate that process. Okay. I think I'm sorry. There's a little lag in my arrow button.
That's the right one.
So yeah, again, so we'll call it CCPD. RPI, like most universities, uses a lot of acronyms, so you'll kind of hear it referenced as CCPD, but that is our office. We are comprised of 3 different teams. So my team is the team of career counselors. So we have a specific career counselor for each school, because the experience of someone looking for opportunities as an architecture student is going to look different than engineering. It's going to look different from life science and management. So that career counselor's responsibility is really to be in the know of industry trends, how things are evolving, what are good markets, where, how should students tailor their application materials or practice interviewing in a specific way for that specific industry or that major. And also that's so you have somebody really devoted to develop a relationship with over those next few years. We have another team that's our experiential learning team, and they are the folks who focus on the internship, co-op, research, kind of that meat of like your sophomore, junior year, trying to connect you to internships and co-ops that align with your major. And for international students, they are the ones who are working directly with any kind of OPT, CPT requirements that come with work authorization and whatnot. So you'll be very involved with them at any stage of the process to make sure that we're all in compliance there. But a great team, and they'll be checking in with you while you're on internships and co-ops. So for us, we don't just want to send you off in the world and not feel like you don't have a tether back to the university. That way, if you get into an internship and co-op and maybe something doesn't quite feel right, you're like, I'm not quite doing the job thought I was going to do, that you can come back and talk to us. That doesn't happen very often, but it is important to feel like you have a place where you can talk through your experience both positively and constructively. As well as if you're living somewhere for an internship and co-op. So say you get an internship in San Francisco and say there's an earthquake, not unreasonable, but it could happen. And so we can help you then either with travel accommodations if you have to get out of there, get a hotel, anything that we can do. We have funds to assist you in any of those types of emergencies. Or if there's a family emergency or if you have to get home, they provide support while you're away. And then we have an employer relations team. And so their job is to, when employers reach out to us because they're looking for students, that they are, getting them engaged with students. We have a career management system that they connect with. Or if students are interested in specific employers or specific areas, this team goes out and sources those opportunities too. And we also plan a number of career fairs throughout the year, employer information sessions. We do specific employer events for international students. So they're really going out and building those relationships on the road. Sorry, I kind of talked pretty fast, but let me know if there's any questions. Let's see. It's not quite letting me move on.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. So an important, again, like thinking with the end in mind, it's, students, parents, anyone who wants to know, like, what's the success rate, right, of our students in terms of what are they doing in their next steps. So this is just some kind of quick data points that we found. A more clear idea of those data points can be found on our website, ccpd.rpi.edu. There's like a digital map, and you can see where people go based upon geographic regions. Obviously, with international students, we have some specific data things too, but at large, 95% or more of our students are employed or within grad school within 6 months. And a lot of those that are in that 5%, we are working with very closely to help them look for opportunities. A lot of those students are folks who maybe really focused on their schooling and didn't focus on the job search until after they graduated. So again, we really want to try to be proactive, especially if you're an international student and you have to consider things like OPT or any kind of work authorization after you graduate. We want to make sure we're engaging with you early so that by the time you graduate, you have a clear pathway. Because there is that grace period, but obviously we want to be as proactive as we can. Or students who may consider things like military, Peace Corps, or other kind of service-based options as well. But we're pretty hands-on with students after they graduate to make sure those outcomes are as high as we can. The average starting salary is $82,000. That can kind of fluctuate again based upon industry. There's more specifics on ranges based upon what major you go into. And we always talk to students that it's also about the total compensation package. So, thinking about, 401k, stock options, health insurance, PTO, relocation, signing bonuses, all of that. It's part of the total compensation package. But we are finding our employers are very understand that, you know, there has been a jump in starting salaries year after year because of inflation, and because of also the demand that having quality talent in a lot of these very special niche industries, especially that come out of RPI, demand. So we also tell students, like, you know, come in and help you negotiate, because a lot of times that first salary can dictate kind of what career progression looks like. So we want to make sure that we are encouraging you to advocate for yourself as well. These are just some examples of some top companies. We say top in terms of like they're ones that you probably most know of. We have a really strong pipeline, an internship to full-time pipeline here. So we, again, it's a really big push at every point in RPI is to try to get students in a co-op or an internship or research or something that's going to kind of create that easier pathway to after graduation as well. And again, a lot of students, about 35% of our students actually choose to go on to graduate school. So that's a pretty significant number. It's not that, you know, different than a lot of other STEM schools. A lot of people want to specialize or go on to do research or teaching. We have co-term programs where students can easily, you know, add on an extra year and get their master's degree, or go into PhD programs. At a lot of universities, a lot of students choose to stay at RPI. A lot of it's to continue their research, but there is other universities. We have a graduate school fair and strong connections and pipelines at a lot of these universities as well. So again, you know, every person has a very different pathway. So what success after graduation is going to be very specific to you. But we're happy to help you really think about what those options are and try to make you as employable as possible. Okay. So obviously we understand that the needs and experiences of international students are, you know, unique. And so we try to be a little bit more hands-on with our international students, both in the career advising process, and obviously the any kind of requirement at the senior level with planning for life after RPI. And a lot of our international students tend to also want to look for international opportunities. So leveraging us to see what companies may have an international presence. Some want to be employed by a company whose base is in the United States but has international opportunities. You know, some want to just work in the United States. Some have to work in the United States. And some want to, you know, return back home. Again, every pathway is different. So the earlier you can make it a relationship with your career counselor, the more we can help you and guide you into those right directions that align with you and your pathways. So that when we see a recruiter reach out to us to say, I have this opportunity, it's kind of specific. Do you have any student in mind? We are like, you know, I've worked with a student. Let me see if I have their resume. Let me pass this information along. That's kind of our goal through the process. So again, we have people in our office who are kind of specialists in OPT, CPT support. Dawn Weaver is kind of like the top person, but we work very closely with our folks in ISSS, our International Student Scholar Support Services office, and any kind of dean. So, you know, again, we will try to be as thorough as we can to make sure everything is in compliance. We have a lot of workshops. We bring in pro bono legal support for anyone who may have questions about the legal process of either entering the job market, any kind of visa things. You know, we have support there, so that should not be something you have to pay for as a resource. So they come in and do workshops and offer some pro bono support. And again, we have a lot of alumni career success, both abroad and in the US and international student support. That's not to say that, like, you know, it doesn't take a little bit more effort to navigate the employers who can make that process easier, but that's what we're here for, is to source those and know those employers and to help you as much as we can through that process. So we have a lot of resources designed to help you. Obviously, the best thing you can do is, you know, talk to somebody and meet regularly. We always say the best thing you can do is just see, like, meeting with your career counselor is not an option but a requirement. Just like you meet with your academic advisor every year or every semester to plan your courses, meet with your career counselor every semester. You should have something to update on your resume. We can always do a practice interview. There's always companies to explore. There's always a reason to have that connection with them. So encourage you to come in and connect with us. but we also have a lot of digital resources. There's a lot of really interesting, and I will say, like, probably in the next year or two, this will probably change and be a little bit more developed, as a lot of these platforms have shifted to how to use AI easier and how to use AI to help with your career search and do things like, operationalize building your resume and cover letter so it doesn't have to take as long. So there's a lot of interesting platforms out there that have emerged in the past year or so. So this will probably change depending on when a student wants to come in. But we have a few different platforms, and we'll kind of go into them. So Handshake is our leading career management system. If you've probably gone to these webinars at other schools, you've probably heard of Handshake as well. They're the major kind of provider for job and internship opportunities for students. So an employer, say Regeneron wants to post an internship, they would go into their Handshake account, post an internship, and they can select what schools or what majors they want to post that internship or co-op to. There's a few different types of technologies in the market, but Handshake is known as like the top tier standard. And so it's nice to have that centralized place to know that like anything that's posted in here, an employer selected RPI, and this is just for students. There's ways to connect with employers within the platform, message them, see recruiter contacts, see what students have interned there at other schools. You could connect with other international students at different schools who have had opportunities that you may be interested in. We do employer information sessions, career fairs. You can schedule an appointment through Handshake. It's really just like your one-stop shop through that process. At RPI, all students have to take a 0 credit career course in their sophomore year. So you will kind of have to do some things like have a resume reviewed, do a practice interview, do a cover letter, get your LinkedIn completed, and one of those is also completing your Handshake profile. So this will be something you just have to do, but it's one of those things you put some investment in up front and it has dividends. So yeah, it's a great platform. You can go on their website and just see what they can do functionality wise. It's pretty cut and dry at every school, but a great platform that a lot of our students get accustomed to through the process. Career Shift is also a great platform. Again, something that we provide our services or pay into. We offer this for both students and alumni. It does kind of allow you to source opportunities from across, the entire web. So it pulls from a lot of different engines, a lot of different places to look for opportunities. But it allows you to filter it in a way that a lot of job boards don't. So if you go to like LinkedIn Jobs, it's like look for a job in this location, but Career Shift allows you to say which ones will provide visa sponsorships, which ones will allow remote work, which ones have a recruiter that worked at RPI, or which one has an alumni that works at RPI. So it allows you to kind of do some of that career research and job searching there. This has been a really helpful tool for international students because it does have more filtering capabilities for international students as well. For students who are looking for full-time opportunities. They also have a resume review platform where you can pick a job in Career Shift and upload your resume, and it'll tell you kind of like the match rate. And I think that's a really cool feature, so that you know that it's working with like applicant tracking systems and whatnot. Some students get into their time at RPI, maybe want to switch major or pick a minor or pick up another major or just kind of want to learn what I can do with my major. Some of our majors are pretty broad. Computer science, mechanical engineering, there's a lot you can do with those different types of fields, for example. So this allows you to kind of do some career exploration and understand things like where are these industries thriving? Like if I'm interested in becoming working in visual arts for gaming, what geographic locations, tend to hire more of that? What are some hiring ranges in terms of salary? Some good career education tools there. And just to understand how your skills and values might align with some of those industries. Because it's not just finding the right major that's right for you at RPI, it's about finding a right career field that will give you a meaningful life and give you mobility and help you to design the life you want. And we know that that comes from finding the things that are not just right for what you are good at, academically, but also places where you'll thrive and that they align with your values and who you are as a person. So this is a helpful tool to help assess that. How are we doing on time? Am I okay? I'm a yapper, but
Yeah,
I feel like we're
no,
okay.
we're still good. I'll let you know that we're absolutely fine.
And then ONET Online again, it appeals from labor statistics and organizations. If it's chemical engineering, the professional association for there, they pull their data from here. So this is a great resource to find some of those hubs of what are some day-to-day tasks. Again, what are growth industry trends based upon region and salary. What are graduate schools that offer programs in that specific area that I want to go into and filtered by state. So say I want to study chemical engineering in Boston, and it would give you a clear list of what certificate, graduate, and PhD programs are available. So just a good career education tool that you can use at any point. And it's completely free. My Next Move and ONET are free. Career Shift and Handshake are not. They are free for you as students, but if you were to just explore them as general community members, they're not like a pay for service. Forage is great too. This allows you to kind of get a little bit more of an in-depth feel of what jobs are like in certain industries. So it takes you kind of through day in the life, simulations, projects that you may experience in a lot of bigger name companies. So these companies build those platforms themselves and make them accessible. It's kind of like a free online class, but more devoted to your own career and project management development. These are great things to do if you find you're home for a break and you're bored and you want something to do, or you're looking at your resume and you're like, yeah, I could use a few resume builders. And these programs actually sync with their candidate management system. So say you do one of these programs through something like JP Morgan, you're already in their system, even if you haven't applied to anything, or if you apply to something, it'll come up that you've gone through this program. And a lot of times, these are the types of things that help you kind of beat the bots or manage those applicant tracking systems to get your name considered, because it would filter you through that way. So just good career strategies for thinking long term, and also gives you an idea of, yeah, this was something I enjoyed doing, on a part-time basis or just for a few hours. Maybe this is something I want to explore for an internship. Or co-op. So it was just a good tool to use. Happy to help you all navigate that. Again, something you can easily access through RPI. We talked a little bit about this already, but again, it's a really custom experience. So our idea is to work with you to just build a strategy and what that looks like. What we want to avoid is you coming in to see us in March when you graduate in May and trying to find a job. So ultimately, wherever students decide to go, it is their responsibility to, take that initiative. But we have some things that are built in place, like the sophomore career course, and some academic areas have career requirements if it's a resume review or handshake profile built into their academic coursework. But most students will have some kind of a touch point with our office by the time that they graduate. So we want to build a strategy to give them the tools that they need to succeed and feel like they have an advocate for their corner in our office too. So we try to approach every student with the empathy and the strategy in mind. Okay. I think we covered most of these areas, but when students make an appointment, they can kind of select which of these they feel like they need the most help with. So when you go into Handshake, it says schedule an appointment, what school you're in, and that would allow you to see your specific career counselor's availability and then choose which key focus area you want to talk about. I would say that our probably most underutilized services are our interview preparation and our job offers and salary negotiation. A lot of students feel like they don't need interview prep, but then they get into their first interview and they're like, that wasn't what I thought, or, I could use a little bit more help. So we try to do those things early as well. A lot of people kind of sometimes see us as like the resume shop, but really it's so much more. The resume is just the beginning, and really thinking about not just career planning in terms of applying to jobs, but what are the tools that I need to be successful in an internship or in a co-op that are going to make me stand out from all the other interns at other schools as well. So we know that every student has a different pathway, and there are a lot of groups that students may fall into. And so we have some specific designated resources for students who identify as members of that population, as well as programming. So those are some digital resources that we either subscribe to or have access to, but we also provide tangible supports to also student groups. So a lot of times students find those communities. A lot of times there's intersections. They may be a member of multiple versions of these communities. And so finding the student groups that best align with them. And a lot of our employers see a value of hiring students from diverse backgrounds and experiences and feel like they bring a lot to the table, and want these folks to feel like they can be engaged at the company level and in employee resource groups, or continue that involvement in those identity group involvements into the professional workplace. So we also will provide funding for students who identify as members of these groups for things like conference attendance. Sometimes it can be harder for some students in these groups to pay for these things, or need specific accommodations. Say if they're going to a conference, they don't want to share a room, we provide some resources to help students through that as well. But we understand that every student has their own, different path. And identity plays a big role in deciding, what opportunities are right for you, and making sure, as well, that our employers create a safe and comfortable and culturally competent and supportive work environment as well. So anytime that feels not right from a student end and an employer end, say they're on internship and co-op and they experience something not great, we're going to flag that employer and make sure other students don't go or have that issue or know about that going into that experience as well. So again, things like safety, comfortability, and feeling like you can be yourself are really important parts of the career development process. So there's lots of layers, but know that, it's something that we care about. And, we want you to feel like you can bring your most authentic self to whatever experience you go into. So come in and see us. And we also have a lot of resources in those areas. Through identity-based resources, we do diversity-focused career events, employer panels, networking events, and career fairs. Some of our largest career fairs are put on by National Society of Black Engineers and our National Society of Hispanic Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. A lot of student groups will do panels with employers or alumni that talk about some of these identity pieces and navigating that in the workplace. So a lot of direct engagement events. There's a lot of scholarships and fellowship programs that are available to students in these groups. So we also work with you to identify, if you identify as one of these groups and you're looking for, scholarship options or fellowship options, helping you source that out. And again, just creating that comfortable environment for you. And why choose RPI for career prep? I mean, I think our data is very strong. If you look on our website, it tells you, we have really great outcomes for our students. We have a devoted staff of people who really enjoy the one-on-one experience, and we get to know you. And we work very closely with academic advisors and faculties and deans. So career planning is at kind of the forefront of the university as a whole, and they're very aligned with how having support for career development is going to help economically develop the area and the university. So it is a very well-resourced part of the university, and something that people understand that helping students find an internship or a full-time job or go to graduate school is not the Career Center's specific responsibility. It's everyone's responsibility. It's faculty's responsibility to help build those, make those connections for you, right? Or to make you prepared for the workplace. It's academic advisors to make sure that they are choosing classes with you that align with what you want to do. It's getting involved in clubs and organizations that may allow you to develop professional connections. Everyone, it's a very experience learning focused school. And so we kind of just help be the machine in a lot of ways, but come in with us, through us, get to know us, and we'll help you kind of find the right pathway for you. And again, as if you're working with students or you are a student who's just kind of navigating this process, we're happy to work with students even before they decide to come here through that process as well. And we offer our services to alumni. So after they graduate, if they're struggling to find jobs, it's not like once you graduate, those resources are not available to you. If 10 years down the road you want to negotiate your salary, just reach out to us. We can, as long as we're properly resourced, we're happy to jump on a call and help you down the road. Or you should never pay for someone to review a resume for you. paid a lot of money to go to school, like someone can help you. So it's also an investment in just like your long-term career development as well. But I love my job. I love RPI students. They are fun and they care so much about each other, and it's such a respectful school environment, and it's just a great place to be. And Troy is so fun. So I just can't speak highly enough of the work that's done. And we're in a place of growth, and so change is good and hard. But it's everyone's on board, and it's a with just the job market and the economic climate and the way technology and the universe and the environment is developing. It's good to have a university that has their finger on the pulse of it as well. I think that's about it for me.
Perfect. Wow. Erica, thank you very much. The information that you provided has been so insightful. I know for the last couple of days and weeks, our partners and our fellow recruiters have been sort of dying for this particular insight and information so that they can speak with parents and guide potential applicants towards RPI. So thank you for it. The detail's been amazing. And I know that even I have learned a lot today. So thank you for that. Really, really appreciate it. So as we were going through, even I was writing quite a few questions. I didn't want to interrupt and spoil your flow, but now we're in the sort of the Q&A period. So I know as Erica has been going through the insightful presentation, a few of you have been typing some questions in the public chat and also in the private chat as well. I'll try to get through as many as we can so that you're all heard. If we don't, or if we can't get through all of the questions, we'll absolutely store them and come back to you either individually or as a group in terms of where to find the information or answering the question directly. So now that we're into the Q&A part, I see a couple of questions that have popped up. Erica, I wanted to start with the question of expectations. So you beautifully highlighted the range of services and I suppose the foundation of support that are available for the students either before or during or after they're going to be studying at RPI. A question I had for you is expectations. What are your expectations for prospective, current, or even graduated students after, in terms of their contribution towards going out into the marketplace or taking the services seriously in terms of reaching their full potential?
Yeah, this is something we talk about a lot because, again, like it can be challenging to make the time to do your career planning. Like when you have deadlines piling up and everything feels stressful, and there's, I think the career things can be easy to kind of push to the back of mind. So, I think there's this balance of, challenge and supporting students. And, for us, we try to make it as compelling and easy as they can to come in and see us. We have drop-in hours. We take extended appointment hours. So if an international student is away on an internship and they're at a 12-hour time difference, like we'll take appointments early in the morning or late in the evening. We try to do our best to source out as many opportunities. So like in Handshake, students will say like, I'm interested in these jobs in these geographic locations. So we'll send out targeted messaging. So it doesn't have to feel like they're so alone in the process, because they're getting communication about like, oh, this internship is interesting to me. Or, I have my material set and good to go so I can easily apply. So we're trying to empower students to have the tools they need to do it quickly and on their own terms. I think for us, it's just if we can do our job well at that first and second year, they should feel like they have the tools to do it themselves, for those next few years. So that sophomore class is kind of comes in ideally there, because it does put a requirement on it, and it is a graduation requirement to get a S, we call it SRU, so successful, unsuccessful. You have to have a successful completion, and you have to do all the assignments. So you should have, by the end of your sophomore year, a lot of those foundational pieces there. So we try to make ourselves accessible, but it's a matter of just making the time, and we try to capitalize on the times that are best for students. Usually the first 4 weeks of the semester, they're usually the most able to devote to their career search, which is good because that's actually career fair and recruitment season, both in September and in January, February. Um, so just making the time to kind of come in and see us. I think a lot of times students, when they try to do it themselves, they end up spending so much more time. Like they agonize over doing a cover letter and they spend hours doing it when if they come in, we can do it in like 15 minutes, right? So sometimes it's just, it can feel a little bit to make that time. But we're aware of that. So I think that's just our biggest piece is, we can share all these things to you, but we can't make students come in
Yeah.
so or care. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. Um, Following on from something that you said, I wanted to touch on when should they engage with you. So, as an international student, they've probably arrived in a new country. It's all new classes. They've got to think about their schedule. And the services may not be at the forefront of their mind. I suppose, what advice or guidance would you give in terms of when they should be approaching you in order to make sure that, one, they know the range of services that you have and how they can best fit it in towards their schedule and how they can best benefit? Is there a particular time? Is it as soon as possible? Is it when they're submitting their work? Is there a particular optimal time that they would do this?
Yeah, I think with international students, obviously with, CPT and things like that, like internships are a little easier to navigate. They can go about those systems a little bit more traditionally. Our concern is always that senior year. And a lot of times in STEM fields, recruitment is a lot heavier in the fall for full-time opportunities. A lot of students miss that boat. So a lot of times we have a program called the Arch, which we didn't talk about, but it is kind of a mandatory experiential learning program, basically, through RPI. So in that junior year, students will have to do some kind of an experiential learning opportunity if it's study abroad or internship and co-op. So for international students, for us, it's kind of like flipped. Like I would think a lot of with domestic students, we're doing a lot more hands-on from like sophomore to that internship. A lot of international students, we're doing more hands-on from the internship to graduation because that is a more pivotal time with, trying to find employers that will provide work authorization, employers who will help with the OPT process, some traditional different pathways if they want to go to graduate school, what things you have to figure out as an international student. So a lot of times that junior to senior year, we're doing a little bit more hands-on with them through that process. And our international students are extremely competitive. Like they're so hardworking, they're so empathetic, they're so good in community, like they have incredible follow through. Like, it is not a matter of like workplace readiness or knowledge usually with our international students. It is navigating the challenges of compliance and federal laws and legal things and industries that are the right fit or companies that are the right fit or that are open to that. So for us, it's really that touch point of that junior senior year is more important to us. And with that, we're not just talking to the students, we're also talking to the employers because there's student education and then there's employer education as well, right? A lot of times, if you're a company, like an HR person's usually pretty in tune with that, but it's sometimes a hiring manager who's not directly related may not understand the nuance. So we're also doing during that time, in recruitment time, employer education on what it looks like to bring in an international student as well, because it's actually a lot easier than they realize.
Yeah.
So some of it's just like that education piece as well. So we're trying to handle also from both ends, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, and bring it into the middle. So that makes complete sense. Thank you, Erica. And just looking to see if we've got time for one more. I think we do. International. So naturally, Erica, we will have international students that will fly in, take the program, and they will either A, hopefully find a job within the United States, or B, they could return home and also find jobs back home. One of the questions that came in is, what kind of support do you offer or continue to offer to graduated students, irrespective of whether they stay in the US or return back to their destinations of origin?
Yeah, for sure. So again, it can be if they're looking to go international or somewhere outside of like the domestic US. I think there's this
Yes.
idea campus wide that like RPI only or the career CCPD only helps with undergraduate students and only helps with students who want to stay domestically. So we're constantly trying to try to change that narrative because there is good international networks. Like within a strong international student population that breeds international alumni who want to help. So we have alumni chapters that exist in these international areas that often are there to just help students get their foot on the ground in these different companies. We also have a lot of companies that maybe either are headquartered in the United States, but they have international opportunities. And
Yes.
so getting pathways in that way, that can sometimes be the easiest way around because usually those companies are easier to get like a dual visa situation or or get the opposite. They have headquarters internationally and then they have a satellite office domestically. Like so and a lot of those companies tend to be more prominent at STEM school. So whatever STEM school they're going to look at, right? Like a lot of those bigger companies do tend to want to recruit from the STEM field. So for us being aware of what those are that exist and how to navigate that. So it is an education piece from the student end and an interest connection there. And then, we definitely have strong relationships with employers, but if we just meet a student once, we're not likely to say like, this is a good student because we just met them once. But we always say like, if we really get to know you through your time here and we can vouch for you, which is easy to do for an international student. They're again like the hardworking, most compassionate, thoughtful, show up to appointments. We love international students. But the more we get to know them, the more we can say like, this is a good person that you want in this role because we know that when they go into that role, our reputation is gonna be like, lifted up because they're gonna do a good job. So we're happy to make those connections that way. So helping students use their network, sometimes again, like we have to be more aggressive with international students and do what we can to like build those direct connections for them. Because we never want them to get in a situation where they're not feeling uh like it's getting close to the OPT timeline, right? Or anything like that. Or they're concerned about, some people come here with their partner and their partner has a job, but they don't, and their family's here. So there's a lot of considerations at mind for international students and how their employment impacts, what they want to do and other people in their direct lives as well. So again, just early involvement. We have the connections, we have the employer connections. It's just making sure that it's aligned with what the students want to as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like we are coming near to time, and I understand that we've answered quite a few questions. I know there are one or two coming in, so apologies if we haven't been able to get through to all of them. As we have mentioned previously, this presentation will be available, and also we will aim to answer all of the questions, as I said, either individually via our individual reps, or sending that out via further emails. So Erica, thank you for answering those questions, and audience, thank you for sending those in. Very, very informative and such a great discussion that's been had. So thank you to all of you. So once again, that concludes our session. Firstly, I want to give a big thank you to Erica for sharing such a valuable guidance and insight, and also to all of you for being here today. We hope today's session gave you new ideas, confidence, and some practical steps in terms of understanding more about RPI and also the career options available if you do choose to study at RPI. Just a quick reminder, this session has been recorded, so we'll be sending that out to you very, very shortly. And also in the following days and weeks, we will be arranging further sessions regionally with your specific advisors or representative, so you can actually find out a little bit more of the granular detail that we may not have had time to cover today. And then if there are any further questions, we'll hopefully be able to tackle them at that particular point. So for now, I'd like to thank you once again for joining us. And wish you all the best as you explore your next steps. Take care. Thank you very much. And goodbye for now. Thank you all.